Hi there, I'm your host Corinne, and this is Okay But Are You Good? Where we check in on ourselves on a weekly basis to see how we're doing. Are we living our best lives or are we just trying to get by? Welcome back. I still can't believe it's the new year, but we're living our best lives, I think, so far. I'm definitely starting this year out way better already than last year, so I'm taking the W. So we're in the first new quarter of the year. We're hyped. We're motivated. We just talked about new habits and staying consistent instead of going 0 to 100 day one. So hopefully in the last week, you've been implementing your new habits and having slower mornings and drinking more water or whatever else you may have added, taken out. But now let's focus on this first quarter. And I want to remind you, we don't have to go 0 to 100 right away. You don't have to do 20 things at once. And you can just do 1 or 2 and you're still winning. Who would have thought? You are still winning by adding 1 or 2 things and not 20. If you can add 20, you get a gold star. I'll pass them out later. So as we kind of talked about last week, this first quarter isn't about doing everything immediately. It's kind of more just setting the tone for the rest of the year. We want to start strong and motivated, right? So take this episode as a reset, kind of like a pause, and reflect on what we want to bring into the first few months and what we're choosing to leave behind so this year doesn't feel so heavy before it's even really begun. And this is important because how we move in the next few months kind of sets the tone for the rest of the year. I knew last year was going to suck because the first few months were really rough. And I was like, there's no going up from here. And you might be like, wow, that's so negative. But what if it's just the reality? Not everything sucked last year, but majority of it did. So that's why I'm working so hard to shape this year into such a good one and set the tone and control what I can, what you can. We've been working up towards setting it easygoing, not so immediate reset. We're building up to like starting intentionally and with boundaries and like clarity almost. So we don't get so overwhelmed and life feels manageable. Because when you're rushed and overwhelmed, like if you're like me, you just shut down and you don't do anything. So that's why let's ease into it. This first quarter is really just setting the tone. And like we're at like phase 1. It's not perfection. We can work on that later, maybe like Q3. But Q1 is about setting the tone. So if you haven't started already, Q1, we got to think about stuff that we want to let go of. For example, we're overcommitting because we want to feel productive. Sometimes being busy isn't really the W that you think it is because you do get burnt out. You will get burnt out by doing too many things. And sometimes I've heard being a multitasker isn't actually productive. I gotta maybe look into that if there's actually a study. I think sometimes people who say that just can't multitask, but doing too much, you get overwhelmed. I get burnt out. I see so many people in my life that get burnt out because they're doing too much. So don't overcommit just to feel productive. Take things day by day. You know what you can manage. So manage those expectations, work on, or just like plan out when you can get things done. With that, you got to let go of this all or nothing. I feel like I've made that so clear. We are not all or nothing. We're not 0 to 100 right away. At this start, you got to ease into it and you got to work towards it. I'm a very black and white person. I'm trying to be more gray because you can't be all or nothing. That doesn't get you very far in life. Things happen, things come up, and it changes. So you can't be all or nothing. You have to be that gray, that middle ground. So let go of that mindset. That mindset is tiring and it's almost like lonely. If you're all or nothing, Another one that we got to let go of is waiting to feel motivated before we've even started. If you feel unmotivated, please, this is your sign. Get up, make your list, figure out what you want your Q1, your year to look like overall. this is your sign. This is your motivation to get started. Because the longer you put it off, the longer you procrastinate, it's not going to change. I know it's really annoying, but it's the truth. So that's why you got to let go of it. And as you're progressing, as you're making changes, you have to remind yourself to not compare yourself to other people's timelines. Everyone's on their own journeys. So make sure you're letting go of that mindset. You cannot compare, because if you're too focused on other people, you're still going to get left behind because they're working towards the next goal and you're not looking backwards. You're looking at them, not yourself. So let that go. And letting go of things doesn't mean you're falling behind or you're a mean person. Like, there's so many ways to interpret letting it go. Just however you interpret that, just know that it's like creating more space and like time and for yourself, and you have to let go of some stuff. You have to change some of your habits if you want change. If you don't want change, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're tired of how your life looks, if you're tired of having no time, of being exhausted all the time, you have to let go of things and add things. It's a give and take. So we have all these things that we're letting go of. But what are we bringing in? What are we taking in? Remember that the things that we want to take in, we got to take in with intention, not pressure. So in this first quarter, what are we taking in? Structure that supports us, consistency over intensity. We're focusing on our physical, mental, emotional health, always. Routines that make our life easier, not heavier. Routines that are realistic and motivating. And just giving ourselves more grace. Be kind to yourself. I think we get lost and forget about that. So be kind to yourself and just take things as they are. Now is a good time to ask yourself, what habit would make my day easier? What routines would make me feel more grounded? Or what hobby have I been curious about but never made the time for? Hobbies are so important because it's making time for yourself. It's giving yourself just a break from all your responsibilities. For me, I guess that's travel and working out and reading. So think about what makes you happy, what you enjoy. It could be cooking. It could be journaling, meeting new people, learning something new. These hobbies aren't something that you have to master. It could just be something you enjoy and want to explore more of. So take a moment to think about what hobbies and habits you want to implement into this new year, because growth often comes from curiosity and consistency, not pressure, and not doing things just because we think other people want us to do it. So do this for yourself. Make these changes for the best year. So I keep telling you guys what you should add, but what am I adding in? I really want to nail down my morning and evening routines. They're like halfway there, but like I have to go to bed earlier. I really have to be intentional and make the effort for that. And then that way, like I can have those slower mornings and not be so rushed and be on time. And I really want to romanticize my mornings and have that time for myself. So that's why I want to combine the two and really work with that. I am traveling a little bit in this first quarter, but not as much. So I think it will be easier to implement. And with the marathon coming up in March, I have to stick to this routine, my workout schedule. So I think that will help. Like that is my motivation. So I'm not super struggling the day of the marathon. So I think that's like really helped me. And something that I'm choosing to let go of is, that's a tough one. There's so many, but I think like not a lot of sugar. I really want to cut down on that. It's so hard at my job though, because we have like endless candy, but less sugar and focusing less on like what I'm doing and how it affects other people. Like obviously if I'm running the marathon, that doesn't affect anyone except myself. So I'm not worried about your opinion, I guess. So it's kind of just like not letting other people's opinions control what I'm doing. So I want to like let go of that more. Just like live my life truly and focus on myself. I guess that kind of means I'm in my selfish era. And that's not a bad thing. So letting go of sugar and just letting go of like letting other people's opinions control my mental health. So yeah, I'm ready. 2026 is not ready for me because I'm ready for this to be my year, baby. And this is a reminder that you don't need to have everything figured out by March. And you're like, why March? Because we're talking about the first quarter of the year, right? So you don't need to have everything figured out in the next 3 months. I know I'm not going to, but I'm going to work hard on my routine and my lifestyle choices so that my life doesn't look like how it's looked this past year. I just want to keep moving up that mountain in the right direction. And we're easing into this quarter. This is slow and steady. This is not a sprint. I will not be sprinting at the LA Marathon. Maybe. I don't know, but probably not. So let's ease into it. Take your time because what matters is that you're moving with intention, not with urgency. This is your own journey. This is your own race. So move at the pace that makes sense for you, not what makes sense for your friends or your family or whoever else in your life. This is your marathon. So make sure you're choosing habits that support you, that help you work towards your end of the year goals, that help you with your mental, physical, emotional health, whatever that may look like. And just focus on habits, routines that you're going to be excited to wake up to in the morning. Because I don't have one of those right now. I'm going to work on that. And release what's weighing you down because you don't need that in your life. So get ready for Q1 to be the best one yet. Woo! Oh my God, that sounds so cheesy, but I mean it. Q1, let's go. So make sure to ask yourself, okay, but are you good? And I will catch you all next week. Thank you so much for listening and make sure to like and subscribe.